What's up guys, Matt here with Hams Mobile Services. I got another one for you. This one's some new stuff for me. I'm going to talk about stucco for a minute during the video, and towards the end I'm going to talk about some efflorescence removal and what that looks like. I have not personally done it myself, but Southeast Soft Wash has a good video for that, so go check them out. And they also have the chemical for it. I will talk about that more at the end of the video. I will also be talking about what percentage I use on concrete. And that's it. We'll get into it. Alright guys, so there's nothing too exciting going on here. Back here it's just cleaning the retaining wall and the concrete right here. I informed the customer that if I wash that back wall, they might have streaks on that concrete because it was so dirty. He said go ahead and wash out to that first line with the surface cleaner, so I went ahead and did that. You'll see that in a minute. This section back here was super satisfying. It was a night and day difference on some of the areas I washed. You can see the retaining wall here. Once I get to it, will come off like super clean. I was using the turbo nozzle on this retaining wall just because of how dirty it was. All this concrete back here got a 3% mix, and the way I have that set up is on my X-Jet. I have the orifice in there that sprays 3 to 1. So it sprays 3 gallons of water to 1 gallon of soap. And with the SH I use, that comes out to roughly 3%. I find this works really great on concrete. So this area back here, you can see the definite line from what was clean and what is dirty. I let this dwell for probably roughly 20 minutes. The sun wasn't shining on it except for that far corner over there. So I was able to let it sit, and because I was spraying everything else, it stayed wet. So from what I understand and what I heard is you can let SH dry on concrete. It just needs to be re-wet before you agitate it with a surface cleaner, turbo nozzle, or however you're going to do it. So this had some funny angles on it. I was really struggling to try to get the water to rinse when I'm done with this. You'll see me go back a couple different times to rinse. And then around the AC unit there was a little difficult. There's a large area. I had the turbo nozzle. It just took a little bit extra time. I was trying out a new tip here. Wasn't a big fan. It was supposed to be a knockoff of the M5 Twist, which is actually on the end of my X-Jet that you saw me spraying my soap with. So now I'm just using a J-rod to rinse it. That twist nozzle I had, that blue nozzle, didn't work like I thought it was going to. Probably not going to use it again, but it was only $8, so it's not too much of a loss. So guys, I like to wait till after I surface clean to use the turbo nozzle to get those edges and everything like that. And the reason I do this is because I'm not wasting time pulling out the turbo nozzle, hitting an area that I could have hit with the surface cleaner, or going back and spraying extra areas. This is just the way I prefer it. You'll find your groove and you'll roll with it and it'll work good for you, but that's what I like doing. So this side of the building here, by the time I got here, was about 12 o'clock. So the sun had been shining on it. It was roughly 85 degrees out today. So I really made sure to wet the building really well. So when I sprayed my soap, it didn't instantly dry and cause damage or staining or anything of that nature. I went ahead and wet that sign and those windows super good, because if they were hot, they would have gotten damage from the SH. And so I just soaked them really well before, and I'll soak them really well afterwards. I'm starting to lay the soap down here. I stuck a lot of surfactant in there to make it suds up well, because this is an extremely porous surface. And I ended up fighting it. I had to rinse this side of the building 3 or more times to try to get all that off. So right after I put my SH on there, before I had any dwell time, I went ahead and re-soaked those windows and that sign to make sure there would be no damage caused from the SH due to it drying or heating up or anything like that. Windows and signs and stuff can fade if the SH is set on there or streak, and I didn't want that at all. Alright guys, this building had quite a bit of efflorescence on it. I'm going to go ahead and circle it at the bottom. It is a chalky substance found on concrete, and it takes a special chemical to be removed. All right, guys, we're gonna pause it right here. We'll get right back to it, but I wanted to touch on the efflorescence removal. I'm gonna talk about it later at the end, but I'm gonna stop right here and do it anyways. Efflow Go is the chemical to remove efflorescence. Won't come off with pressure or bleach. SoutheastSoftwash.com sells it. It's roughly $40 a gallon. They also have a good video on YouTube. They have a whole channel about pressure washing, but the one I want you to check out specifically if you're watching this is the efflorescence removal. Check them out. They've got some really good stuff. They're really experienced. They know what they're talking about. Efflorescence is something I haven't done yet. I'm looking forward to trying to do it, but I have to find that customer who's willing to pay the price to get the efflorescence removed. So with that being said, SoutheastSoftwash.com and Southeast Softwash on YouTube has great stuff. And the Efflow Go is what I'm gonna emphasize right now. So we'll get right back into it and we'll finish this video up. So guys, this white handrail here, I went ahead and sprayed it with my 1% mix, let it dwell for a while, and I'm just rinsing it off with the J-Rod here, no pressure at all. Came off super clean, all the black marks came off. Looked incredible when I was done. Really happy with that part right there. So guys, this is my first experience with stucco here. We're going to talk about it in a minute, but what I want to emphasize right now is the signs in the windows. I really soaked these signs, made sure they were sopping wet because it was hot out and I did not want streaking on the signs. I also did it on the window there. I sprayed it before and I sprayed it after, and I probably oversprayed it honestly, but I did not want any streaking or any fading to happen in any of these areas. So when I was done even rinsing the front of the building off, I went ahead and rinsed that sign again until I saw no more suds coming off in order to prevent any damage from happening. Alright guys, we're going to cover 3 things real quick here just to wrap it all up, put a nice bow on it. First thing I want to talk about is the stucco. Like I said, Southeast Softwash has good stuff on it, and so definitely check them out. So this is my first time doing stucco. I put a 1% mix on it just to learn how it would work, and it didn't touch the algae up at the top above that sign there. You can see the real dark spot. So I finished washing the rest of the building, came back and I put a 3% mix on there, and I did that 3 different times on the front of the building there, and it lightened it up, but I still wasn't happy with it. And so at that point I'd actually ran out of chemical. So I called the customer. I said, hey, I can't finish this tonight. I'm gonna have to come back tomorrow. And they were fine with that. Came back the next day, put a 6% mix on the front of that building, let it dwell for 15 minutes, and I rinsed it, and it came out looking great, guys. They were happy with it, I was happy with it, and I learned. The thing I learned, stucco does need that stronger mix, especially when it's dark, and it's gonna take multiple applications for sure. So next thing, we'll talk about a free service I offered, which was rust removal. I hadn't done this before. I was willing to learn, and they'd asked me about it. So I said, I will offer this for free. We won't even worry about it. So I went and bought the chemical. It's about $12 a gallon, and we will do a separate video on that chemical when I find a good spot to show you guys how it works. So I sprayed it on the light part of the brick. I sprayed it on the dark part of the brick. The light part of the brick, the rust came out in a couple minutes and it looked great. But the dark part of the brick, the color was running down the edge of the brick and onto the concrete. And so immediately I turned around and rinsed it off. I called the customer. I said, hey, I can't move forward with this rust removal. I saw color coming off the brick and onto the concrete, and they were absolutely fine with that. I hadn't charged them for it. Like I said, it was free. And so there's no harm, no foul, no hard feelings. Last thing we'll talk about here, you can find this just about every pressure washer will talk about this pressure washer channel, but I'll talk about my mixes. I use a 1% mix on houses, and I bump it up to 2% if the house is extremely dirty, and I spot treat when I'm all done rinsing with a 3% mix out of a pump sprayer, just to get that last little bit that I couldn't get with my 2%. For concrete, I use a 3% mix right off the bat. I don't even mess around with concrete. So that retaining wall in the back and the flat area I surface clean, that got a straight 3% mix. It works great. It's the max my pressure washer can put out as far as the SH mixture, and it cleans great, guys. I mean, it's just all around works great for me. So with all that being said, thanks for hanging in there. I know this got long. I learned something. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you on the next video.